Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
My anus is bleeding!
He can't sit down.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Beta male.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of demons.
Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. I tell you, don't do it.
Oops.
We're under attack. It is an alien force, not of this world. It's not human intelligence.
Bullshit.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Bullshit.
It's not a salami sandwich.
Disappointed!
Repeat the line.
Disappointed!
How you like that, boy?
No.
Give me a break.
Stop it.
Fired.
Fired! Fired! Bitch, move it along.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Just forget about the evidence.
You idiot.
Around the nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? It's Thursday. Welcome to the show. We got a fun one for y'all. So, hey, you know who's back? Mike Billow. Yes. All right. We got Billow talk. And trust me, it's hilarious.
Just forget about the evidence.
Just forget about the evidence. Forget about it. Forget about it. Especially relevant considering what we're going to talk about today. We also have the anti-woke beer. Apparently, they're having some problems. A lot of problems. Very, very many problems. Okay. We have that where I'm going to get into the details. We also have Republicans, once again, failing to prove that the Biden administration had, I'm sorry, not administration, but Biden's family themselves have been steeped in crime. That's fun. We also are going to talk about the national attempt to ban trans girls from sports. As if, you know, the Republican Party, the National Republican Party, does not have anything better to do. They have introduced a bill to basically turn America into Florida. And one Democrat, Maxwell Frost, had an awesome response to it. You're going to love that video. That's going to be fun. And so then we are going to have another story about a shooting. Once again, a young person, in this case, a child, being in the wrong place and being shot for it. So, seems to be happening a lot. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that there's so many guns in this country. Huh, weird. But anyway, so that's kind of a downer story, unfortunately. But anyway, that said, most of the show is going to be pretty fun, so stick around for that. And I just want to let you know, too, hopefully, probably about next week, there is going to be some video here of Farron and I, Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire, having a pretty fun conversation about woke. So
The wokers.
That's right. I had that conversation this morning. Ton of fun. So I'll let y'all know when that comes out, because it was a good segment. It was a lot of fun. It's always fun talking with Farron. So yeah. Should come out sometime next week. Love it. All right, with that, why don't we go to Mike Pillow? Oh, before we get into the show, first, please like and share the stream. Very important to do so. Helps us out, as always. Now let's do it. Okay.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win.
China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy. But you haven't. Just forget about the evidence.
This was attacked.
Conspiracy theorist Mike Pillow recently, well, not recently, he had put out a bet. Prove me wrong. It was a challenge. The Prove Me Wrong challenge when it comes to his data on election fraud. Turns out someone took him up on that challenge and won. And now Mike Pillow has been ordered to pay up. According to a recent report by CNN, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell has been ordered to shell out $5 million to an expert who debunked his data related to the 2020 election, according to a decision by an arbitration panel. Lindell, according to the article, a purveyor of election conspiracies, had vowed to award a multi-million-dollar sum to any cybersecurity expert who could disprove his data. And of course, someone took a bump on it. And there you go. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
You idiot.
All right. So the person who disproved Mike Pillow is a man named Robert Zaidman, who has for decades been in software development and has, again, experience. He said, challenge accepted. Oh, you're going to give me $5 million? Okay. Yes, I will disprove it. And then he disproved it. Oops. So Lindell, look, Lindell is a cheapskate. He decided, I'm not going to pay the money, even though, again, literally disproved my data. And so Zaidman filed a lawsuit, and it went to arbitration, and it won. Hilarious. Super hilarious. The hits came on coming. The self-inflicted hit. Mike Pillow is basically punching himself in the face. Nobody forced him to put out that challenge. Nobody forced him to actually make it contractual. But he did it because he thought, what are you I know my data. It's the best data. Let me tell you, we have all of this evidence from China. China hacked our elections, and I can prove it. I've got everything. Except that you don't. So I'll give you the details, right? According to the deposition, based on foregoing analysis, Mr. Zaidman performed under contract. He proved the data Lindell LLC provided and represented reflected information from November 2020 election, unequivocally did not reflect November 2020 election data. Failure to pay Mr. Zaidman the $5 million prize was a breach of contract entitling him to recover. Oops. So basically, what that means is that the data that they had said was from the election that they gave to Zaidman wasn't the actual data from the election. What did they give him? I don't know. So now, Brian Glasser, founder of Bailey & Glasser LLP, who represented Zaidman, said this: the lawsuit and verdict mark another important moment in the ongoing proof that the 2020 election was legal and valid, and the role of cybersecurity in ensuring that integrity. Lindell's claim to have 2020 election data has been definitively disproved. So, actually, that's a great thing, because knowing that Mike Pillow was able to somehow get access to election data, I mean, that would be an obvious security issue. apparently he didn't actually get access to real election data, which tells me either he got something that he thought was data, or or something that someone had told him was data but they had manufactured, or that Pillow himself had it manufactured for him. I don't know. Don't know. All I know is that it wasn't real. It was disproven, and there you go. Now, in a brief phone call with CNN, however, Lindell said, "This will end up in court," and then went after the media and said he's going to get rid of the machines. I got to get rid of the machines. You understand? See, I got this guy. Apparently, he thinks he's John Connor now. Yeah, I have to stop the machines. You don't understand. We've got to stop Judgment Day. No, dude, you watch too much Terminator. Good movie. Also, Terminator 2, great movie. Not reality. You're not fighting against Skynet, bro. What's going on? Like you're insane. You're not dealing in reality, in data, or evidence.
Just forget about the evidence.
Oh, that's right. So, look, again, the basis of this case is simply contractual, okay? Zaidman signed a contract that Pillow had put out and signed as well, agreed to the terms, and found that, again, Lindell's data wasn't actual real data. It was just nonsense. It was gibberish. So the arbitration panel said, look, we're not looking at whether or not the data, because we're not data experts. We're just looking at the fact that there was a contract. You said you were going to award them $5 million to disprove the data, and, well, they did. And so I guess you owe them $5 million. And here's what the arbitration panel said. The contest did not require participants to disprove election interference, just whether or not the data is legitimate. Thus, the contestants' task was to prove the data presented to them was not valid data from the November 2020 election. The panel was not asked to decide whether China interfered in the 2020 election. Insane. Nor was the panel asked to decide whether Lindell LLC possessed data that proved such interference, or even whether Lindell LLC had election data in its possession. The focus of the decision is on the 11 files provided to Mr. Zaidman on the context of the contest rules. Well, now the panel's decision also went through each of the data files, provided Zaidman, determining repeatedly that the data was unrelated to the 2020 election. So where did the data come from? Whose data is it? What is it? I have no idea, but I know it's nonsense. Gobbledygook. And by the way, for Lindell, I think it's pretty obvious that he didn't have real evidence to present because there was no evidence to present. It just wasn't. He's an armchair expert. That's all he is. Look, people like Lindell see things that they don't understand, think, oh, see, it must be fraud. You know why? Because they're conspiracy theorists. And they do this a lot, by the way. It's not just about this election fraud stuff. The far right conspiracy theorists have been doing this for a long, long time. They've been doing this with biology and climate science. Remember, Todd Aiken's legitimate rape, right? Oh, yeah, well, if it's a legitimate rape, a woman can't get pregnant. No, that's not reality. That's not science. There's no evidence there. Why would you think that? You don't believe in facts. You're an armchair expert. You think, no, I know everything. I know how this works. But you don't know it all. Another example of this. James, I have a snowball that disproves climate change in Hoff. Hey, look, I'm an expert. What are you talking about? I know everything. I know everything. I know it all. And I know more than the so-called experts. I mean, come on. Experts, yeah. Oh, you academics. How dare you try to say that you know more than me? Wait, that's objectively true. That's why they're experts. Because they specialize. It blows my mind. Look, people like Lindell are pseudo-experts who do not know the first thing about what they're talking about. They really don't. And look, the issue here is not necessarily the ignorance. Ignorance can be cured with knowledge. But the thing that I have a problem with the most is the unearned confidence when you are wrong. Oh, no, I'm the smartest person in the world. What are you talking about? I'm not only the smartest person in the world, but you are wrong, and all your evidence is wrong. And somehow it's manufactured by lizard people, and that's why. Or
Jewish space lasers.
I don't know, but all I know is that I'm correct. And the data, again,
Just forget about the evidence.
no evidence, no data. I believe what I believe, and I know that I'm right. It's in my gut. No, that's probably, something you ate earlier. That's what that feeling in your gut is. You might want to do something about that.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
That's all they're spouting. Endless amounts of bullshit. That's their evidence. So look, it's funny when somebody comes around and corrects them and embarrasses them with facts and logic and knowledge and reality. It's fun to see. It really is. But at the same time, you have to understand that, not people like Lindell who actually don't really have a lot of power, but you have people in Congress, who are elected to government that do hold these beliefs or profess to believe in these things and do massive amounts of harm to other human beings and the environment. And that's quite distressing. Now, as for embarrassment, when it comes to Lindell, it's the second time he's been embarrassed by Zaidman, but certainly will not be the last time that he's embarrassed by someone who is smarter than he is. Because there's a lot of people who are way smarter than he is. One last thing. Will Zaidman actually get the money? That is an open question. Look, it's not like my pillow is doing very, very well. There's only so many pillows chuds can buy. There's only so many pillows that one person or a small group of people can keep buying from this guy to keep him in business. Lindell was on Bannon's podcast, Steve Bannon, another grifter, saying that his company had to take out $10 million in loans. And by the way, he is being sued by, Dominion and Smartmatic. And so, along with that, he's lost business. There's a lot of places that will no longer run his advertisements anymore. And so, he looks like he's in quite a world of financial hurt. But hey, look, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Okay. Let's move on to woke beer.
Stupid. The wokers.
All right. Bad news if you're one of the few that dropped $40 for a 6-pack of anti-woke beer. Well, you might be stupid.
Stupid.
Also, that beer might also never show up. So, bad news all around. Apparently, what am I referring to? Conservative Dad's Ultra White 100... Did I say Ultra White? Well, that's a bit of a Freudian slip. But it's Conservative Dad's Ultra Right 100% woke-free American beer. Apparently, they can't seem to find anyone to actually brew it. after putting out an ad. By the way, hey, what do you mean? What do you mean they don't have any? What? You think this guy makes their own beer? You think that this guy has a brewery? No, no, they have to find someone to supply them with conservative dads, ultra right, 100% woke free American beer. Which I probably should be playing.
USA, USA, USA.
After every time I say that, because that's about how much excitement there should be around that. Okay. So what are the details here? Well, former state level Trump campaign chair Seth Weathers had taken some time off selling Let's Go Brandon wrapping paper to all the chuds whose family members won't even visit them anyway, to advertise an anti-woke beer that actually doesn't exist and cannot be sold and shipped over state lines. Oops. Turns out there are laws that prevent beer from being sold and shipped online. It has to be sold in stores, and they have first of all, they don't have any in stock to sell because nobody makes them, and they don't have any deals with any stores to actually stock them in the stores for people to buy. Wow.
Stupid.
I gotta keep saying it.
You idiot.
Okay, so now this Schrodinger's beer was offered again online only at $19.99 plus shipping for a 6-pack, which costs 4 times more than Bud Light and has less alcohol content, which at this point is actually 0 because it doesn't exist. It's not real. Much like those,
Jewish space lasers.
Doesn't exist. Not real. So now Weathers apparently had a company that he had put on his website as the brewery. Okay. Saying that, oh no, we were putting this on the website. This is who's making our beer. Well, that company, who hadn't even been signed, backed out of a possible deal because of how it was being marketed. Look, I've shown you that cringy ad. We're not going to do that again. Okay. Now, Mark Zoller, beer editor of PorchDrinking.com, first reported that Weathers attempted to tap Illinois-based Bent River Brewing Company to brew this anti-woke beer. Because, the wokers. Zoller said that Bent River Brewing told him that Weathers actually used their name without permission in the ad. Oops. Quote, the company said, quote, "We were initially approached to possibly contract a beer for a customer. Without our knowledge, our name was listed on a website for a brief period of time. When we were made aware of the marketing for the product, we chose to pass on producing it." So let me just kind of spell this one out. Bent River just told Weathers to get bent. I love it. Oh, it's so good.
Amazing.
I love this story so much. Zoller then included screenshots to show former versions of the website for what Weathers bills as conservative dad's ultra-right beer, claim it is brewed and canned by Bent River Brewing Company in Rock Island, Illinois, which, of course, in fact, it is not. Google searches also conducted by the Daily Dot revealed the name Bent River in parts of Ultra Right Beer's website text, which was removed. Bent River Brewing told the Daily Dot via email that we were referred as a potential contract brewer. We declined. Neither Ultra Right nor Bent River Brewing responded to emails seeking comment on Thursday afternoon. This guy was caught, just caught red-handed. You know what's funny about this, too? Another example of what? The free market making its choice. And it looks like it doesn't want anything to do with virtue signal beer. And yet, the right wing is still flipping out about commemorative cans of Bud Light with Dylan Mulvaney on it. They find the most hilarious things to freak out about it. And now there's claims like, oh, you see, the boycott has worked. The big Bud Light boycott has worked. It has robbed half their value. And look, 56% of the country, according to Rasmussen poll, is against woke beer. First of all, Rasmussen poll, less than 1,000 people in that poll, skews heavily right wing. And the poll didn't even say that 56%. It was like 40%. It was like, no, I'm not going to buy Bud Light because of Dylan Mulvaney. And actually the rest were like, either, okay, that makes me more likely, about 16%, that we're more likely to buy Bud Light. And 37% were like, who the F cares? Nobody cares about this. This is clearly just a manufactured crisis on the right wing. I mean, it makes these people, it makes it seem like if you drink a Bud Light, your dick's going to fall off. Some, I guess maybe literally. It's so incredibly dumb. It's such a non-issue. But here's the thing that's going on. Apparently, the right wing will buy anything. They're so hungry to be scammed. It's so easy to manufacture outrage with these people. And that's why you have the grifters that come in, because it is a target-rich environment. But I think they're going to find out rather quickly when those pre-orders never get filled. Yes, there are people that pre-ordered this beer. Alleged beer. Phantom beer. What's going to happen to their money? I wouldn't be surprised if that money, just like the beer, never materializes again. It disappears. It's gone. But then again, I don't know. We'll see. Hey, but you know what? Apparently, us libs were owned. Because own the libs.
Stupid. The wokers.
Okay. Let's move on to something a bit more serious. Just kidding. No. More Republican fails. I feel quite owned. It's true. It's true. Don't we all? Don't we all feel quite owned? Yes. On Tuesday, Representative James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, admitted that, I haven't really found a lot of, evidence of Biden's, crime or anything, despite the fact that he said it was, like tracking a bear that had been wounded in the snow. Oh, yeah, no, we just have to follow the trail of Biden crime. Then we can get him. However, apparently that hasn't really turned out, as evidenced with this interview on CNN.
Have you found anything illegal while he was actually in office?
Well, we found a lot that's certainly unethical. We found a lot that should be illegal. The line is blurry as to what is legal and not legal with respect to family influence peddling. I think people in both parties have argued for many years that family members of both Republicans and Democrats, especially family members of presidents, have benefited from our adversaries around the world. I don't think that anyone would dispute the fact that we need to increase the ethics laws and the disclosures laws.
What specifically have you seen in terms of that dynamic happening that you say? And again, was any of this happening, this evidence that you purport to have happening while Biden was actually in office? Because in this announcement last month, you claimed that at least 3 Biden family members and 2 associates received payments that originated from China, but you said it was 2017. That was after Joe Biden had left office.
It was, but the people that initiated the payments had met with Joe Biden while he was vice president.
And that's okay. So basically, big fat nothing. But I mean, he wasn't president. But you know what? He was vice president, but before he got the payment. And okay, so you know the funny thing here is, so obviously they're looking at Biden, they're fixated on the laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop specifically, and they're just like they're trying to dredge up anything they could use to point to some sort of criminal activity, and they can't find it. They can't seem to find it. Funny enough, all they would have to do, and look, Comer said, well, yeah, look, I think in both parties, I mean, they've argued that, people in both parties have benefited from your adversaries, and we really have to look at, doing some stuff about that. Okay, well, you could look at the last administration with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, who made hundreds of millions of dollars while in the White House from their private businesses. I mean, you could start there. And those are pretty obvious cases. Okay. And by the way, if you find any actual evidence that Joe Biden had personally profited while in office from any of these foreign countries through, payments and through things like with, involving Hunter Biden. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, fine. We'll apply the law and go from there. Perfectly fine. Everyone should be subject to the same laws and penalties. No one should be above the law. But that's not what this is about. And again, he hasn't found any of that stuff. And yet somehow refuses to look backwards when it comes to 2 very obvious examples of people in the White House benefiting personally, profiting personally from that position. It's ridiculous. But look, again, all this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden stuff, it's a smokescreen. That's all it is. Here's the truth about the American system. A president doesn't have to break the law to do corruption, to make money. Turns out we have this entire system in this country that is already legalized bribery. It's in the form of campaign contributions. Corporations and lobbyists and PACs will give money to a political campaign. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their own hearts. They will get something in return. And we see this, again, evidence of this on both sides. Look, Trump, for example, said, oh, well, I'm going to allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. And then after speaking with the pharmaceutical industry, was like, oh, never mind. Biden administration also, they know where their bread is buttered. They know who gives them a lot of money in donations. And by the way, pharmaceutical industry bankrolls both sides. And so that's why we got a very, very limited amount of drugs that Medicare could negotiate with when it comes to the pharmaceuticals. Or the pharmaceutical industry. Did we get a little bit more progress with Biden on that? Sure, but it's only 10 drugs over the span of the next few years? That is an influence of corruption, but it's legalized corruption. So the point that I want to go to, and by the way, this legalized corruption, it was legalized back in the 1970s, thanks to a conservative Supreme Court, and went forward all the way to Citizens United, McCutcheon versus FEC. And so the overall point, though, here, corruption is legal in this country. And because it is, you would have to be incredibly dumb or brazen to break the very few campaign finance laws that are left. To actually commit a crime. These laws are barely there. And of course, you know who's dumb enough to do it? Republicans, of course. Either that or incredibly brazen. For Trump, dumb and brazen. Both can be true. Both can be true. But now, let me go back to, again, Biden's family receiving money from China in 2017. Well, that would be when he's a regular civilian, when he's not in a political office. So, again, nothing illegal about that. That's just... When you are not in office and you're a former vice president or president, look, after the Clintons left the White House, oh, they got so much money, speaking fees, all this cash. They cash out because that's what happens to everyone when they're a former official. Doesn't break any laws. It sucks, but it doesn't break any laws. And look, another example here that wasn't investigated because it's totally legal was Trump getting tons of money from the Saudis. Actually, there might be an illegal angle in that because of how much the Saudis overpaid for those rentals at Trump Tower. So you could think that's potential money laundering. So no evidence of anything of that going on with the Bidens at this point. That said, was there any federal investigations into Trump getting money from the Saudis? Of course not. No, of course not. Look, Comer's response, though, is, okay, yeah, well, he was vice president at the time, and, that's when they initiated the payments, but it didn't actually go through until he was out of office. And no laws broken. You have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. So here's the thing. Would I like it if federal officials were banned from lobbying or getting lucrative careers for at least a set amount of time? So, okay, ban lobbying completely. But, allow them to, I guess, get a career 5 years after they leave office. It's not like they're poor when they leave office. And it's not like they can't go and give speeches, do speaking engagements for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why can't we also eliminate money in politics altogether? That would be great. If you were on the right and you were actually concerned about this kind of corruption, personal corruption, political corruption, well, then you would be in favor of those measures. That's the best way to get corruption out of our political system. But see, here's the thing. Right-wingers like Comer, and I'm talking about politicians here, conservative politicians, pundits, they don't want that. That's not a goal of the right wing. The goal of the right wing, and we've seen this from conservative Supreme Court justices, we've seen this from conservative politicians. They want more private money in politics, and not just more private money, but private dark money. More of it, to flood our entire political system with dark money everywhere. Unaccountable. You don't know where it's coming from, but you know where it's going. Right into their pockets. That's the goal. It's been the entire goal of the far right to strip campaign finance laws and get rid of anybody who would dare enforce them or even report on them. Shh, we don't want to know. We don't want you to know where that money is coming from and to whom it is going. the people who are greenlighting corruption are the very ones that are going out and claiming everyone else is doing corruption. It's the Spider-Man pointing, the three Spider-Mans pointing at each other meme. That's all our, politics, all of our discussion on political corruption has, devolved into. These investigations are political, they're shams, and never will amount to anything. Hope I'm clear. Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Jesse, the body Ventura. There should be no billionaires in America. Jose, Jesse Ventura, I don't agree with all of his takes, but he's got a lot of good ones. So that's one of the best takes he's had. And again, he does have good takes. He has some weird takes, some bad takes, but generally, I think most of them, at least on economic issues, are incredibly based and good. And so it's not one of those things where, like, oh, I can't believe I, agree with Ventura. No. He's got a lot of good points. And I agree with that one. Billionaires, there shouldn't be billionaires. You don't get to be a billionaire unless you step on or screw over someone else. Weird for a libertarian. I would say he's more, in some cases, at least some of the things he espouses, leans more into libertarian socialist. On some things. But yeah, I mean, sometimes they can come up with some pretty based ideas and good things. So, all right, anyway. Let's move on to more, well, and actually a strong Democrat. I know, it's fun. You're going to love this one.
We want freedom and liberty for all of our people, and they want the government to be in children's pants. Disgusting.
That was Representative Maxwell Frost dropping truth. This is during a debate on a bill that would ban all transgender girls from participating in girls' sports in public schools nationally. So Republicans have brought, this was on Wednesday, a national trans ban. Hey, whatever happened to states' rights? Weird. All right, so now, the bill, by the way, which was sponsored by Representative Greg Stube, we'll get to him, basically defines sex as based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Well, I mean, those are not always clear cut. Biology, not always clear cut. And so it's a pretty anti-science bill. And again, this entire thing is part of the far right's push to erase trans people from public life. I mean, that's what it is. It really is. And not only that, but apparently the right wing also wants to be the ones to inspect kids' genitals. How do you think they're going to enforce this stuff? I mean, sounds pretty groomerish to me. Doing inspections to ensure that there's no biological males in girl sports. A little creepy. How can you claim that you want to protect children when you're targeting children with this legislation? Oh, right, they're only targeting trans children. However, as we've seen before, in places where they've had these bans, there are cis women who also get targeted for apparently not being or looking female enough. I mean, this is the we can always tell, crowd, that can never really tell. And so, well, what are they going to do? Well, obviously they have to go and look at the genitals. They got to do the inspections, they say. No, that's super effed up, super creepy. Stay out of their lives. Stay away from those kids. It's gross. Now, by the way, this is partly modeled on Don't Say Gay, which does the same thing, right? In fact, one of the bills sponsored by Stube was also, again, Don't Say Gay. In fact, he had co-sponsored that. And on Wednesday, it was expanded to all grades. So now, throughout all the school system, Don't Say Gay applies in Florida. Now, the Associated Press reports that the expansion was at the request of Governor Ron DeSantis and goes along with other restrictions in Florida, including book bans and a 6-week abortion ban. So that's happening in Florida. Maxwell Frost is a representative from Florida, as well as Mr. Stube. And basically, Stube is trying to take this national. He's trying to make America Florida. Which, no. How about No, I don't want to live in Florida. That's why I don't live in Florida. By the way, there are some excellent progressives that do live in Florida that hate this. And Maxwell Frost is one of them. And by the way, he is pretty awesome. So now Stube, let me give you some more information about him. Stube had signed a GOP-sponsored Supreme Court amicus brief that contested the 2020 election, so he's an election denier. He also voted against the certification of the election, voted against impeaching then-President Donald Trump for interfering in the election and for January 6th, then voted against Congress awarding law enforcement officers for defending the Capitol on January 6th. And so he is a far-right piece of crap. Doesn't care about democracy, doesn't care about reality, doesn't care about science, definitely don't care about the kids. Especially trans kids. So I want to give you more of Frost's speech, though, because, again, that little snippet was part of one that was pretty excellent. Take a look.
This morning, I called a 12-year-old in my district who is worried about their future as a non-binary kid in this country. They should be playing and learning, not writing to their Congress member, desperate to not lose their right to exist. These are the priorities of the Republican majority. Not addressing gun violence, rising rent, or medical bills, but violating the privacy of children. And I'm glad I get previews. I get like special previews of what this Republican majority is going to try to do in this body, because they're simply taking bills that are being passed in Florida and across the South, horrible bills, and trying to get them passed up here. This isn't about a problem that needs a solution, but about politicians looking for a target. We want freedom and liberty for all of our people, and they want the government to be in children's pants. Disgusting. History will not look kindly on this. Trans people will continue to fight for equity. We will be right by their side, and we will win.
He's right. We will win. The American people are not in favor of restricting transgender rights. And so now he also makes a lot of good points. Yes, Republicans are going all out on culture war issues while all of these other things are happening. You claim to care about the children, but you're the same party that's putting out a platform to try to cut Medicaid. That is helping millions of children have health care. Same party that's also trying to cut food aid. By the way, it's not in this state, but Republicans, I think it was in Minnesota, had tried to argue against food aid while trying to boost their own. I don't remember if it was Missouri. Oh, I'm sorry. It was Missouri, not Minnesota, where Republicans voted, against school lunches for children. but then also increased their own daily meal allotment that would be paid for by taxpayers. That's who they are. They don't give a goddamn about the children. Not at all. And if you listen to the kids, you listen to the young people, they're going to tell you, we do not want anti-trans bills. We don't want this. You're hurting us. You're hurting our trans friends. You're hurting our non-binary friends. Just stop. Leave us alone. The problem is, unfortunately, with these Republicans, they believe the children are property. Their property, specifically. Now, remember, one of the big things on the far religious right is to mold and indoctrinate children. Was it North Dakota? There's so many different horrible Republicans and horrible Republican bills that I've talked about lately. But yes, going back to, the far religious right and their obsession with breeding, their obsession with wombs, with creating essentially child soldiers. Maybe not soldiers in the literal sense anymore, but more of holy soldiers. You know what I'm saying? To indoctrinate them into their religion, into their far-right religious beliefs, and use them to take over the country. They do consider children, that's the whole idea of the quiverful movement, by the way, which was made famous by 18 kids and counting, whatever, the Duggar family. That entire movement was basically considering children to be weapons or arrows in the quiver, right? In order to strike at the heart of American democracy, to turn us into a theocracy, a religious fundamentalist country. That's the ultimate movement with these people. And so, yes, they do see children as not people, as tools, as in some cases, weapons. What do you think this is? This is the weaponization of children to attack transgender people, to attack LGBTQ people. Those of you who are religious and do not subscribe to this, and I know there's plenty of you, you should be horrified what these people are doing in your name, with the name of your religion, which is supposed to be about forgiveness, peace, love, turning the other cheek, that kind of stuff. You ought to be real angry about what they're doing, how they're perverting your religion. It's not my religion, your religion. Now, let me get to the idea of that, we need trans fans to protect the girl sports. There's no evidence that trans girls have so much of a superior advantage over cis girls that no cis girl will ever win in competing in sports ever again. That's just not the reality. There's no evidence of that. Trans women do compete against cis women all the time, and sometimes trans women win. Sometimes they don't. Just like any sort of other competition. But again, it's not even about that. It's never been about girls' sports and protecting the integrity of girls' sports. You think these right-wingers ever cared about girls' sports? If they did, they would actually fund it and support it. But they never did. They don't care. It was always about boys' sports, boys' football, in the schools. Never really cared at all about girls competing in the local sports. Never gave them support at all. And never have any examples, by the way, of transgender athletes in a lot of the places where there have been bans. No, this is all about just hating the other, hating trans people, making them the other. It's bigotry, pure and simple, and it's just a way to try to erase them from society. It is a war on transgender people, especially the youth. Okay. Speaking of not protecting the youth, let's go to North Carolina, where unfortunately we have another shooting. And yet another shooting that involves someone apparently being at the wrong place. This time in North Carolina, a man, 24-year-old man, shot a 6-year-old child and her father for what? A basketball rolling into his yard. Now, the alleged shooter, 24-year-old Robert Louis Singletary, is currently on the run. As far as I know, armed and dangerous, fled the scene of the shooting. Neighbors at the scene said that multiple shots of gunfire were in response to just children that were playing. They were playing ball. In fact, Jonathan Robinson, who described Singletary as being known for yelling at local children, told Charlotte station WBTV that they were just playing basketball and a ball rolled into his yard and they went to go and get it. And then, of course, this guy got his gun and started shooting. The neighbor said, quote, "It was just crazy. He came out with this is the young girl, by the way. Her name is 6-year-old Kinsley White. Thankfully, she survived. She's all right. But the father is in serious condition, hospitalized. Now, here's what Kinsley said, quote, "He came out with a gun. He started shooting. Hope my daddy is okay." Remember, this girl's 6. And some madman with a gun shot her and her dad for, again, literally no reason. No reason at all. In fact, witnesses also told SOCTV that the gunman ran up and down the street, firing until he ran out of bullets. Kinsley was hospitalized after being seriously wounded, but released overnight. Her father, William, remains in the hospital. White's mother also was shot at, but was only grazed and was treated at the scene. She told WSOC that she had heard the gunman make a threat to her husband and daughter. Very explicit threat. "I'm going to kill you." So that's, yeah. And then they tried. Now, Singletary is now wanted on 4 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury, and 1 count of possession of a firearm by a felon. So this person should not even have had a gun in the first place. So my question there is, how did this person get their hands on a gun? Who should obviously not have a gun? Well, according to the Daily Beast, let's get to him being a felon first. According to the Daily Beast, in September, Singletary was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend with what police described as a mini sledgehammer. He allegedly prevented her from leaving his apartment until she cleaned up the evidence of the assault. The woman was able to escape 2 hours later, so he already had been arrested, somehow still got his hand on a gun. What a dangerous person. How? Well, it turns out the gun laws in North Carolina were recently, loosened. North Carolina had used to require a person obtain a permit before purchasing a handgun. In order to get the permit, you would have to have a criminal federal background check. Republicans, who were in the majority, eliminated that. They got rid of it and actually overrode the governor's veto. So there it is. State law also prohibits people from possessing firearms if they're subject to domestic violence restraining orders, which, again, that should have been there. and also required them to give up firearms they already own, which apparently did not happen. Now, under the bill, however, passed by Republicans, well, sheriffs were no longer required to perform evaluations of an applicant's character and mental wellness, or again, do any of these background checks. And so, look, I don't know if the gun this man had was a legal gun. I don't know if it was illegal, but I apparently at this point, it doesn't really matter. Now, he shot a child. I mean, you know, could there have been ways to prevent this? I don't know in this particular case because I don't know if it was legal or not. But certainly Republicans did everything in their power to make sure people like this had easier access to weapons. Now, this is another situation where somebody apparently wrong place near a madman with a gun. Earlier on Tuesday, 2 cheerleaders were shot in Texas outside of a grocery store when one of them mistook a parked car for her own. I've done that before. I got ADHD, so yeah, I get like sometimes I get in my head, I get distracted, whatever. And I remember one time I was at the grocery store, bought a bunch of groceries, went out to a car that looked exactly like mine, and turns out it wasn't mine. I'm still here. I didn't get shot for it. I've also went to the wrong house before and didn't get shot because of it. What is going on in this country? That's not the only one. And also, first, let me do the other story here about the cheerleaders. The owner followed them back to the friend's car and then shot them both. Oh, no, what are you talking about? I was standing my ground. It's Texas, so I wouldn't be surprised if they use that excuse. Now, on Saturday, I covered the story as well, when a 20-year-old woman was fatally shot in Hebron, New York. It's a very rural area of New York. She and her friends in a car pulled into somebody's driveway, and a 65-year-old man came out and just started blasting. Unfortunately, that took the life of 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis. Recently, recent reports on that as well showed that the shooter had absolutely no remorse for what had happened, for killing a young woman who had done absolutely nothing wrong. Then, of course, this also follows 16-year-old Ralph Yarl, who was shot in the face for, accidentally going to the wrong door in Missouri. He was just there to pick up his younger siblings, went to the wrong house. I've done that before. I've went to the wrong house before. And 84-year-old Andrew Lester shot him once, came outside, shot him again. And he's lucky to be alive. This is an example of how apparently our country has lost their minds. Gun culture in this country is insane. Everybody's armed, everyone has guns, and apparently everyone is either, shouldn't have guns in the first place or scared of everybody else and is now shoot first, ask questions later. Or don't ask questions at all, just start firing. This is not a country that we should be living in. This is not a situation that we should be having here in this country. It makes me go back to what Charlie Kirk said with all these different shootings that were going on, the mass shootings. Well, it's just the price of liberty, freedom. Does this look like liberty? Does this look like freedom? Don't we have the freedom to not be shot for going to the wrong house? for not accidentally pulling into a wrong driveway or going to get a basketball? Do we not have the freedom to not get shot at or potentially murdered for, doing nothing wrong? Apparently we don't in this country. Apparently people with weapons have more rights than any of us. The weapons themselves apparently have more rights than the rest of us. And it's all, I think, mainly due to cowardice, greed, people that bow to the gun lobby and get paid. Just another day in America.
USA, USA, USA.
Okay. Ooh, I know. Sorry for the downer. I tried to cushion it with a lot of fun stuff. But, yeah. Okay. Am I to the side? Sometimes I lean. Okay. So, let me read some super chats and member comments here. Let's see. Gabby Mathis with a very kind 420. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yes!
Happy 420 for you where it is legalized. It is legal in Michigan, but I don't partake. It doesn't really help my ADHD to be more relaxed. So I actually need to be more perked up and have a little bit more energy. But love to all that do partake. Jonathan Leiter says, you are worth my pillow money.
I'm not worth your McDonald's money.
Apparently you are. Apparently I am. Okay. Jedi Dragon Protector, thank you for being a member for 41 months. And says, the right-wingers really need to try weed on 420. Jonathan Leiter says, happy 420 Nation, spark 'em up. Spark 'em up. And also adds, never forget, we outnumber them. True. We do. We do. Yeah, again, sorry for the downer. I had to start with the downers, end with the fun stuff. But you told me what to do. No, that's probably good advice, but yeah. I take you up and then I bring you right back down. It's like a roller coaster here. All right. Devin 327, thank you for the 100 biddies on Twitch. Appreciate that. All right, so that's it on Twitch. That's it on YouTube. Please like and share the stream if you haven't already. Very important that you do that. Helps us out greatly. 420 is my YouTube anniversary. I created my account 6 years ago. Oh, that's cool. Super, super cool. I have ADHD and all the pharmacies are out of Adderall. I've been detoxing for a week. I hear you. I had to switch to another different medication, so it's been rough. But actually, my pharmacy does have some in. I know, super lucky, and I actually have to go and get it after the show. So, at least for the next month, I might actually be back to feeling like myself again. Wow, amazing. Boy, wouldn't it be wonderful to feel normal? Or at least partly somewhat normal? I know. All right, anyway, we'll see what happens. With that, thank you all again. Please like and share the stream. Love you all, and we are going to send Twitch over to... What do we got? Let's take a look at actual Jake. What's normal anymore? For me, it's feeling productive and actually having some energy and motivation. But that would be normal for me. That's how I would define feeling normal. But that's me. All right. Again, thank you all, everybody. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you back here later.
There's some whores in this town. Wet ass keyword.
Tighten up my knee. I like my knee tight.
Tally.
My.
Sexual anarchy.
They are about to find out.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels